Warriors! Good morning. It's Coach JB, your top health and mindset coach in the world. Remember, what you believe in your heart, you think in your mind, will eventually become your words and become your reality. Hey, coming off a frustrating day yesterday. I tried to do this video 5 times, so this is late breaking news. But I'm still going to bring it to you because I want to give you my perspective on this from a banking perspective and where I think we're going. Now, number one, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm just documenting my journey into the quantum financial system. I was in the banking system for 12 years, went to executive banking school, learned how to scale banks from the ground up. I understand the banking rails at a very, very deep level. I also understand crypto, but I'm not going to pretend like I know everything. That's why I'm bringing experts onto my channel to help us have a deep understanding. By bringing my expertise together and crypto expertise together, we can speculate where we're heading. None of us know who the Wizard of Oz was. None of us know. Not any person on YouTube, podcast, anywhere knows exactly what's happening. Just like the Wizard of Oz. As you went down the yellow brick road, you got behind the curtain. We didn't know who was pushing the button. But what we can do is educate ourselves, learn how to fish. If you give a man or woman a fish, they eat for a day. You give them a fishing pole, they eat for a lifetime. You teach them how to farm, they can feed a nation, warriors. That's really important. What I'm doing is I'm not asking you to believe a word I'm saying. What I'm teaching you to do is to learn how to research, or if you want to listen to my research, but make informed decisions. Now, there was a big day yesterday. I wish it was breaking news, but I'm going to bring you, from my perspective, the news that came out yesterday, okay? So I'm going to continue to bring you this news. And I wish I could have got it to you yesterday, but my computer went down 5 times. A little bit frustrating. So I just kind of let it go last night, answered all my messages and went to bed. That's the whole thing about life, warriors. Every single day you can hit the reset button. Yes, it was frustrating. It was part of the path yesterday. But here we are. The Federal Reserve payment system crashed, and it was the service was restored hours later. Now, while this crashed, warriors, I was watching the virtual hearing for monetary policy where Jerome Powell was being drilled by a lot of constituents. Now, something that was brought up that I'm going to show you guys is around Bitcoin and the lack of confidence in regards to our American dollar. Now, I'm going to point out keywords. That's why I think it's important for me to bring this to you, even though a lot of YouTubers brought this information out to you already. But I want to break it down from my perspective, from a banking perspective, and an understanding of the printing machine that we have in the debt-based society. Because if you don't know economics, you don't know tokenomics, you're going to get wrecked in the marketplace, warriors, because you're going to get caught up in the euphoria. If you get caught up in the euphoria, you get caught up in the news, you're going to buy the tops, you're going to get wrecked on the way down. It's about understanding the game so you can see it coming, you can make good decisions, and you can do what the billionaires are doing. As you look this way at a pandemic, there's a whole nother narrative going on this way. So the Federal Reserve payment systems crashed, and it was restored hours later. Now, it said that the IT department put out a notice here. I'm not even going to play the video. My computer's acting crazy. The outage impacted customers, which included banks, brokers, mortgage lenders, and their ability to transfer funds in large and small sums. A Federal Reserve operational error resulted in disruption of service in several business lines. We're restoring services and communication. The Federal Reserve financial system customers about the status of the operation. Richmond Federal Reserve spokesman. Okay, systems were fully restored at 2:57 p.m. Eastern time, according to the notification from the Fed. Processing Fed ACH files has resumed, and customers should receive acknowledgement of incoming files. The Federal Reserve Bank Services website read, note the backlog of files may take time to clear and resend. Now, let me share with you guys from a banking perspective. This doesn't mean this is what happened, but I'm going to share you with what happened at the bank. Now, when we had to move or implement new systems and processes, I'm going to take you on a journey today, is you had to shut the bank down. So in the evening, the managers would stay with some of the bankers. The IT department would shut the system down, and then you would uproot the system or reboot the system, with the new systems and processes in place. Now, do you agree at this point, probably if you're watching my YouTube channel, that we're moving into the quantum financial system? There's a lot of changes that need to happen. You've had rolling blackouts in certain places. You've had certain countries go completely out. And now our Federal Reserve system shuts down as we're moving into the new quantum financial system. Well, at the same time, there was a virtual hearing going on. This is crazy. This is really crazy. So yesterday when I was watching it live, this is the type of stuff that I watch, warriors. So when I was watching it live yesterday, there was only about 740 people on it. Okay, so if you take a look at this now, there's only 9,472 people out of billion people in the world, billions of people that have watched this. So that tells you if a WAP video has, I don't even know how many views it has. Last time it was like hundreds of millions of views, probably a billion views now. Billions of views in a WAP video. But something that is changing your life, your financial system, only 9,000 people have watched it. out of 7 billion. It's really think about that, Warrior. So you are a small percentage. You are the uncommon 1%. We are the ones that are going to bring wealth back to the people. I believe in God. I follow the life of Jesus. This is God's money. It's not our money. It's a fluid thing, and abundance is available for all of you guys. So I'm going to break down what they say and share with you from my banking perspective and the quantum financial system.
The gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Davidson, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Chairman Powell, thank you for your time, and really want to commend the Federal Reserve for the work that was done at the end of March to provide liquidity and stability to our economy, to deal with the massive surge in demand for U.S. dollars. And we're just so grateful that the U.S. dollar has become the world's reserve currency in a time of crisis.
Now, my timing might be off, but do you remember the big retracement in cryptocurrency in March? I think Bitcoin went down. It went down dramatically. I don't know the exact numbers. I think Ethereum went down into the hundreds, right? The triple digits. It was wild, Warriors. Now, it was at the same time they pumped the economy. Remember, they manipulate the market, Warriors.
Not just Americans, but people all around the world want our dollar. It is indeed a source of our strength as a country, is to have a strong dollar that has become the world's reserve currency. It does great things for our capital markets and frankly helps enable the deficit spending that we've continued to do because we certainly haven't saved for bad times. We're able to navigate them because we still can borrow. I wonder, sir, do you have a definition of sound money?
We target inflation that averages 2% over time. That is what we consider to be.
Well, that's a policy, but I mean, when you think of sound money, what would you say constitutes sound money?
Well, the public has confidence in the currency, which they do, which the world does. That's really what it comes down to. That people believe that the United States currency is perfectly reliable and stable in value.
Okay. Did you hear what he said? That the people believe that it's perfectly reliable and stable in value. As long as you believe that, you will have confidence in it. It doesn't mean it has value, Warriors. They're printing it helicopter money. Listen to this.
Okay, so as a store of value, it clearly isn't stable in value. It is not.
So he just said, as a store of value, it's clearly not stable. So as long as you believe it, as long as the sheeple looking this way, the narrative, believe it, you're going to be good to go.
But as a store of value, the U.S. dollar really, is it diluted as a store of value when M2 goes up by more than 25% in 1 year? Does the printing of more U.S. dollars somehow diminish the value of the dollars that others hold?
You know, there was a time when monetary aggregates were important determinants of inflation. And that has not been the case for a long time. So you'll see, if you look back, the correlation between movements in different aggregates, you mentioned M2, and inflation is just very, very low. And you see that now, where inflation is at 1.4% for this year. Both.
Yeah, you keep using that, and you keep using it to talk about inflation. And I don't think that's the only proxy for whether the dollar is a store of value and an efficient means of exchange. It is clearly still the world's reserve currency, but we're putting it under a pretty big stress test by diluting the value of the dollars. And I think one of the indicators of that is when the U.S. government issues debt, all this spending that we've done as a country, it isn't really funded, is it? I mean, there's not a true market demand for this much debt. It's not being lent. When there's borrowing, there's actually a lender. How much has the Federal Reserve had to purchase to bridge the gap between market demand for treasuries?
So what he's saying, there's not a demand for the debt that we're putting in the system, right? In order to print money, we're a debt-based society. You have to have debt in order to keep our economy going. We are all interest, right? If we all paid off our credit cards, all our credit obligations, the country would fall. We live off interest.
And the actual need to finance the spending.
That's not at all what's happening. We don't have to purchase any of this. We purchase it because it is providing accommodative financial conditions and supporting the economy in keeping with our mandate. There's plenty of demand for U.S. Treasury paper around the world.
So all of it would sell. You're competing. So are you bidding up the price then? Is it your contention that you're inflating asset prices by increasing this purchase?
No, I think that we could sell all of our debt. That's the reason we do it. But by the way, we issue debt when we issue United States obligations in the form of reserves when we buy treasuries. So we're not actually changing the amount of obligations outstanding on the part of the treasury. What we're doing is we're substituting an overnight reserve for a treasury bill. It has no effect on the overall outstanding obligations of the United States when we do that.
Yeah, we're just printing money, helicopter money.
Right. So the growth of the Federal Reserve's balance sheet, you don't think that has anything to do with the disconnect between Wall Street and Main Street? Or let's just take as an example the confidence people have expressed in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies.
Okay, let me explain what he said right there. He said the disconnect in between Wall Street and Main Street. So Warren Buffett, right? The Warren Buffett indicator. The stock market is so overvalued right now. So what he's saying is there's no direct correlation you printing all this money and the fact that the stock market is so high and then Mrs. Jones's restaurant shutting down. It makes no sense, Warriors. That's why the big companies are moving into Bitcoin. That's why Tesla bought 1.2 million of Bitcoin. That's why Michael Saylor moved most of his assets into Bitcoin. That's why Michael Saylor had MicroStrategy had a meeting with 10,000 CEOs. That's why people like me are moving into stores of value. That's why we're starting to put parts of our company's money into Bitcoin and Ethereum wars. That's why we're educating you on what's happening. If you don't understand economics, you don't understand the game.
And you know, well-respected, proven investors like Ray Dalio, who said cash is trash. Isn't it because the U.S. dollar is being destroyed by fiscal and monetary policy?
It's hard to say that it's being destroyed. I mean, that if you look at another way to look at the dollar, if you mentioned the dollar, you can ask domestically what can it purchase, and that's a question of inflation. You can also look at it in terms of a basket of other currencies. And
yes, I understand, but if you look at it, sir,
the dollar is in
time. The key to this is. The Fed has done a horrible job at predicting asset bubbles. They have. And if the pensions are going up because the market prices are going up, people with marketable securities have their basket of wealth going up and wages aren't. Current consumption, teachers, for example, they have a great pension, but their current consumption isn't going up. So CPI lags what's going on in the investment. I think it's a big concern.
Okay, so what he's saying right there, we'll move on. So what he's saying right there is basically, so if you're a school teacher, right, you're a firefighter, you're a police officer, and you have a pension. Very few people have pensions, but their pensions are going up, so they're super excited because it's attached to what? The stock market, right? Well, the stock market is being inflated by the monetary policies of the money printing machine, but we're not really having GDP growth. We're not growing the economy, Warriors. Small businesses are hanging on. It's called a zombie economy. They keep pumping money. You got PPI loans, or am I saying it correct? PPI loans. You got small business loans. You got all these things, low interest rate money going in the system. So you have a bunch of companies that really, no offense, shouldn't be surviving right now. Most small businesses are surviving just because of the helicopter money coming in. Most people are surviving because of the helicopter money. We haven't even seen the massive amount of foreclosures and massive amount of people not being able to pay their rent. We haven't seen the actual collapse of the small business sector because of the money they're printing. So imagine what they're doing is they're printing, keeping us happy as they're moving the monetary system to another rail, right? The quantum financial system. And so you have the opportunity right now to be part of that, Warriors. You're a small percentage. It may seem like you're part of a big community because you're in it, Warriors, okay, but you're very, very, very small percentage of the population. I hope you realize that. Because think about that. How many of your friends are talking about Bitcoin or stores of value or gold or silver? No, they're talking about the damn Kardashians. They're talking about the Watt video. They're talking about videos on TikTok. Think about that, Warriors. Think about why I'm shadow banned. I'm a truth seeker. I speak truth. I spit fire. That's why I get shadow banned. But you can hang out in your panties on freaking TikTok and you're good to go. You don't get shadow banned. Think about this. You know, men are getting out of their cars with the shirt on when men should be rising up to protect their families. It's crazy. We're all thirst trapping, trying to get, maybe I should take my shirt off and do my videos. Okay. So Powell says the Federal Reserve will engage in public on it will engage the public on digital dollar this year. This year, Warriors. Okay, this was February 24th. The Federal Reserve will engage with the public on a question of a digital dollar, according to Jerome Powell. Powell made his comments during Wednesday. It's exactly what these other countries are doing. House of Financial Services Committee hearing in the response to questions on the digital dollar concept from Representative Patrick. Okay, this is going to be an important year, he said. This is going to be the year which we engage with the public pretty actively. Okay, the engagement will come in the form of public events, according to Powell. He did not elaborate further, but said the central bank is working on the rollout of these events. Still, the Fed, okay. He said they're working on the rollout of these events. Federal Reserve's payment system shuts down. They are working on the rollout of these events. How do you switch a system? By shutting down the system to move into a new system. Just my opinion, okay? So let's move on over here. So one of my warriors sent this over to me. Thank you so much. The timeline for ISO 20022 adoption. Now remember, Ripple is part of the ISO 2000002, and I'm going to show you a whole group of people that are. So the timeline is approaching pretty quickly, Warriors. I believe that this is going to be a massive bull run. You need to be very careful because you need to make sure you have an exit strategy, which we talked about on our YouTube yesterday with CryptoCito, and we're going to talk about DeFi next week. Now, you have to have an exit strategy where make sure you're taking profits as you're going up, right? You don't want to get caught in this big ass bubble if it comes down, right? Make sure you're smart. Don't get greedy because we're going to have a 3-year bear market. And then I believe in 2025 is going to be the main adoption of all these all the financial institutions. It's going to take a while to move this, Warriors, but you can become very wealthy during these times. I'm not a financial advisor, not financial advice. Acting feedback on the community, Swift will enable ISO 20022 messaging for cross-border payments and cash reporting businesses starting from the end of 2022, which extends originally announced date by 1 year. So the banks can adopt at their own pace and reduce the total industry costs and realizing the benefits of ISO 20022 together in the new platform. So key highlights of the new approach. New approach impacts Swift cross-border payments and cash management messaging only. Swift supports the market infrastructure, ISO 20022, migration initiatives, including Target 2, an ecosystem marketing infrastructure gateway, Bank of England, okay, and other is not affected, excuse me. New Swift capabilities will maintain complete data and state information for transactions centrally, relieving institutions in a payment processing chain of the obligation to pass on complete data, eliminating the problem that intermediaries may break the chain. Okay, so this shows like the institutions, this breaks down the timeline. Around 2021, so this breaks down here, look at ISO 20022 messaging capabilities using the new Fin Plus messaging service will not be required for cross-border payments and cash reporting in November 2021. So as we move through this year, Warriors, it's going to be retail adoption. The banks are going to be moving into a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, and I want to spend some time talking about that. A central bank digital currency, Warriors, is very different. They're going to call it a digital dollar. You're going to hear Jerome Powell talking about a digital dollar. It's very different from a regular dollar. Let me explain, Warriors. Okay, a digital dollar, when you have negative interest rates, a digital dollar, they can actually go in. So if they give you a $1,400 stimulus check on your FedNow wallet, you're going to be like, yeah, I got my stimulus check. You don't even have to wait. You don't have to wait in the mail. You don't get some goofy ass card, right? Your cat didn't get your stimulus check. So you get the actual thing on your wallet. You get in here. And you wake up about a month later, you haven't used your money because you're being a good saver and cash is trash, right? You're just letting it sit in your account and dwindle away. You look at your account and you go, shit, it's at $1,300. What happened? Negative inflation rates means with a digital dollar, you're now close to the central bank. They can actually dilute the value of your digital dollar. And what that does is it forces you to stimulate the economy. We're a debt-based society, Warriors. So if people aren't buying debt, if people aren't buying homes, if people don't have the money, they'll give you helicopter money. So you go out and stimulate the economy, right? Think about that, Warriors. You have to stimulate the economy, so they force you to do it through a digital dollar. It brings you closer to central banks. So what is the cryptocurrency infrastructure, right? You're buying into the infrastructure in some cryptocurrencies or some blockchains that are supporting this new monetary policy and new monetary system that we're moving into. I believe the Ripple case is a big political narrative to usher in regulation. They're using Ripple, a huge company that's been working with the SEC since their inception, that solves the liquidity problem that banks have. That's why I understand Ripple at a very deep level. But I'm not foolish. I'm not just invested in XRP. I have a broad portfolio of cryptocurrencies that have real world solves. And I want to end with this picture that I keep putting up is the interledger protocol, which we talked about with Swift, the ISO 20022. So if you were to read this, you're like, oh, it looks like Swift is going to take over everything. Whereas they have to work together. You have IOTA, Stellar, Ripple XRP, R3. I brought this up for you guys, the R3 consortium. You have Algorand, JP Morgan, XFIN, Swift. Swift is the iOS 20022, the messaging system that connects all of this, warriors. So Ripple is an interledger protocol. You got XLM, they're the hyperledger fabric, right? You got JPM coin. It tells you what they do, what their role is. They're all going to be working together. Like somebody asked me a great question, one of our warriors, John. He said, hey, JPM just right here. So India's largest bank. They're going to be working with SBI. All these companies are going to be working together, warriors. They all need each other to be successful. So the infrastructure is being built behind the scenes. Maybe it had something to do with the shutdowns, warriors. I don't know. But what I do know is when we ran banks in the middle of the night, we'd shut the banks down to be able to move into a new system. You can't. It's hard to move into a new, you have to reboot the system, right? And so warriors, as we look this way, there's a lot of distractions. You have to start to turn your head. And it's hard because as you turn your head, someone's trying to pull you this way. So warriors, this is about knowing the game so you can't be played. I'm going to continue to bring you late breaking information. I know this is probably about 24 hours late, but it came right on time, right? But I'm going to give you my perspective, a different perspective, but I'm not asking you to believe a word I say. I'm asking you to learn how to fish, warriors. So I help warriors with their mind, immunity, and body. That's what I do. I actually show them my exact portfolio. I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice. Like today, we have a cryptocurrency call every single Thursday for our private warriors. And today we're talking about crypto taxes. Not a tax expert. We're bringing an expert on to talk about it. So we're going to help warriors manage into this quantum financial system. Not a perfect program, but we also have our free Facebook group where we go live on a daily basis talking about mostly mindset stuff. Because warriors, if you don't get your mind right, you can't take flight. It doesn't matter how much money you make in this bull market. If you don't change your subconscious mind to wealth, you will never be wealthy. You'll be rich for a temporary moment in time. But this is flow. It's energy, warriors. It is not even a tangible thing. It's moving into this quantum realm. And if you don't understand energy and the flow of money and how energy works, you will never be wealthy, warriors. So my name is Coach JV. I am the top health and mindset coach in the world. If you're still here, comment Warriors Rise. Warriors Rise. Let's go.